Good evening. Today is Monday, April 22nd, and this is the Design Review Commission meeting. It's our regular meeting, and I'm calling the meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. The first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Vice Chair Salo.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If you can do roll call, please.
Yes, Madam Chair. Commissioner Chang is absent. Commissioner Tu?
Here.
Chair Romo?
Here.
Thank you. Vice Chair Salo?
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Lopez? Commissioner Lopez is absent. All right.
Thank you. Tonight's meeting is live streamed on cable channel 3 and on our online platforms. To prevent any overlaps in comments, each commissioner will be called upon to speak. Number 1, public comment. This is the time set aside for members of the public to address the Design Review Commission on items of interest that are not on the agenda, but are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Commission. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the Design Review Commission cannot answer any questions or take any actions until such time as the matter may appear as an item on a future agenda. If you wish to address the Design Review Commission, please fill out a speaker card that is available on the back table. Once completed, kindly submit the card to the recording secretary. Speakers will be called upon to the podium one by one. Each speaker will be given up to 3 minutes to speak. Any public comments?
No public comment at this time, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Next item, consent calendar. All items listed under consent calendar are considered routine and recommendations. Will be approved in one motion unless a member of the Design Review Commission or public requests separate action. Vice Chair Salo?
I have none.
Commissioner Tu?
No, I don't have comments.
Okay. Any public? Nope. Okay. Then if we can get a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I motion to approve the consent calendar.
I second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Chang is absent. Commissioner Lopez is absent. Commissioner Tu?
Yes.
Chair Romo?
Yes.
Vice Chair Salo?
Yes.
3 Ayes, motion passed.
Thank you. The next couple items, selection of chair and selection of vice chair, we're going to continue these 2 items to a future meeting when we will have more commissioners here present. So we will go on to item 5, public hearing.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the Commission. Thank you for participating and tuning into tonight's design review meeting. My name is Samantha Tiwasart, Planning Manager with the Community Development Department. There are 3 public hearing items this evening, and copies of the agenda and staff report for the meeting are available on the city's website at www.sangabrielcity.com. And as mentioned, on the table by the entrance. If you wish to speak on an item this evening and are not the project applicant, please fill out a speaker card and submit it to the recording secretary, which is Damien this evening. And speaker cards are also available on the back table. Please write down the item number that you would like to speak on, and speakers will be called up one by one to the podium during the public hearing portion of each item. And as mentioned, speakers will be given up to 3 minutes to speak. For each item this evening, staff will provide a summary of the staff report, followed by any presentations from the applicant if there is one. Then the public hearing will be opened, and after the public comments, the applicant is provided the opportunity to rebut if they choose. And prior to the close of the public hearing, the commission may ask questions of the applicant, staff, or the city architect. However, once the public hearing is closed, the opportunity for public comment has ended. And so with that, staff is ready to present item 5A.
Thank you. Christine?
Good evening, Commissioners. The item before you tonight is a request for the approval of SPR 23-100 for a new two-story single-family residence with an attached two-car garage located at 1019 South Gladys Avenue. The project site is located on the west side of South Gladys Avenue between East Fairview Avenue to the north and East Central Avenue to the south. The site is bordered by single-family uses in the R1 zone to the south, the north, and east, with commercial retail use in the C3 zone to the west. The property is currently improved with a 962 square foot, one-story single-family residence with a detached garage, which was built in 1948. The project site is zoned R1 for single-family residence, and the general plan land use designation is low-density residential. The proposed project complies with all of the R1 development standards in terms of lot coverage, floor area ratio, building height, the front, side, and rear setbacks, and the required parking. This is a rendering of the proposed front elevation provided by the applicant. The project proposes a total of 2,047 square feet, with 1,287 square feet on the first floor and 760 square feet on the second floor. The proposed design was reviewed by planning staff as well as the city architect for compliance with the zoning code and the single-family residential design guidelines. The project design is that of a contemporary Spanish architectural style. Simple and minimal design details have been provided, such as the arched entry double doors, concrete roof tiles that mimic slate material, and the precast concrete trims throughout the structure. The San Gabriel Municipal Code requires that a comparison of one-story versus two-story homes be done within a 300-foot radius of the project site. There are a total of 48 properties within this radius, and currently there are 15 two-story structures in the neighborhood, as seen in the image on the screen. The proposed project is located in a low-density residential general plan land use designation area, which allows for single-family residential development. The proposed project would meet housing goal 10.3 of the general plan. The project was reviewed for compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA. The proposed project is exempt from the requirements of CEQA per guideline 15303, which is a Class 3 exemption. The public notice for the project was provided in all of the following ways. It was mailed notices to all property owners and tenants within a 300-foot radius. A notice was posted at the project site as shown in the image, and agendas were posted at the City Hall, Post Office, and the Public Library, and it was also advertised in the San Gabriel Sun on April 11th, 2024. Staff recommends that the Design Review Commission adopt the resolution and approve planning case number SPR 23-100 at 1019 South Gladys Avenue to allow the construction of a new two-story residence subject to the recommended conditions of approval. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you. Are there any clarifying questions for staff? Vice Chair Sabin?
No questions for staff.
Commissioner Tu?
No question for staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the applicant?
The applicant is available for questions.
Good evening, commissioners and staff. My name is Kamen, address 8748 East Valley Boulevard, Suite K. I'm the project designer. First of all, I'd like to thank you for staff, has prepared such a thorough and detailed report, and with the city architect's guidance throughout the project. The report is so detailed, okay, prepared, so I don't want to waste your time to mention, okay, all the details. The only thing I like to say is, okay, the owner, this has been a rental property for a while, and the owner is planning to move back to this house, so that's why they decided to demolish and rebuild it. And building a new house like this nowadays is not cheap, so their goal is to finish and move back and raise their family there. And for all the condition approval, okay, we have no problem. I'm more than happy to answer any question you may have.
All right, thank you. Vice Chair Sala, any questions?
Currently, how many rental units are on this property?
Just one.
Um,
Yeah, they could build another ADU and making this a rental property, but then this is not their goal. Their goal is to rebuild this house, move back, and enjoy this, a life in the city of San Gabriel.
In the existing photo, there appears to be a two-story building in the rear of the property, or is that the neighboring property?
I think that is, okay, a commercial property behind it.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Yeah, right behind is San Gabriel Boulevard.
No further questions.
Commissioner Lowe?
Yes, I do have questions. So that it looks like the existing driveway is at the north side of the property, but you guys swap it to the south. What's the reason for that?
It's just, okay, one is for us, we have a choice, okay, luckily, okay, we can choose to have it on the right or left because it's not abutting the neighbor's driveway. One thing is there's a two-story house on the south side. So the driveway on the south side will get us more separation from the two-story house. The two-story house to the north, to the south side is roughly 2,700 square feet. And also, okay, with the driveway on the south side, okay, we'll receive more light and breeze from the south side because, like, especially during winter time, the sun is always traveling from further south than to further west and southwest. So we consider the microclimate, okay, which is a benefit to the property. Yeah, and also for natural drainage, okay, the water can drain from north side to the south side and go out of the street.
Okay, that actually brought up another question, because you would talk about the sunlight of the project, but I noticed that a lot of the windows in the bedroom are pretty small, or just like one window per room kind of like design. I was wondering, particularly the primary and the other bedroom on the lower floor.
We love to have more big windows, but then, okay, we're also concerned about the neighbor's privacy. So that's why we're doing minimal, but then it's sufficient, the meeting building codes. For the two bedrooms upstairs, okay, they are facing north and south, so they have pretty good cross ventilation. At least one window facing north and the other window facing south. And for the front bedroom, the bathrooms facing east, and there are two windows there. Okay, so actually, okay, there are three sizes of windows for each room.
How about the bedroom 2 on the lower floor? It's only one window.
For
And it's only 4
bedroom number
feet?
2, because there's a hallway on the north side, so the best what we can do is we can put two windows facing the south side if that's really necessary. I have no problem with that because, okay, once we have a window, is the owner's choice to open it or close it. Okay, that's even better. For our situation, because the lot is only 40 feet wide, so we have not too much choice for the garage location. Either have the garage all the way in the back detached, or at the back of the house attached. The owner likes to have the garage attached to the house. It's more convenient and safe. That's why we have the garage there, and that's limit our second choice of window.
Understood, yeah. I was going to ask because, I mean, it seems like the garage allocation, it really limited the way you use the backyard. Literally, there's no backyard, so pretty much it's all driveway.
You know, some people, okay, depends on how they use it, okay. The driveway is a necessity of wherever you put it, and they have young kids, okay, so they can double dip the driveway, okay, as a driveway and also recreation area. And as you can see, okay, all the way in the back, we have some amenities there, like a permanent bench, which would encourage the occupant to go out and enjoy it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Tu. We have Commissioner Lopez who joined us. We are talking about 1019 South Gladys Avenue. Do you have any clarifying questions for the applicant?
I do not, thank you, and I apologize.
Oh, no problem at all. Thank you. I have a question.
Yes.
I noticed that the driveway jogs a little bit. Can you show us? The rendering? Do we have this one? No? Okay. Stand. So the driveway actually jogs a bit.
I'm sorry?
The driveway,
Oh, curve a little bit?
there's a curve at the beginning. And with that curve, that basically creates a necessity to remove the tree that's there because of the way the driveway is situated. You want to talk about why you have that curve at the entry of
Oh,
the driveway?
There are two reasons. The first, typically, okay, Public Works won't allow the wing of the driveway cross the property line. This is one reason. Okay, the second thing is with the driveway away from the neighbor's side, that will create some landscaping area that, okay, add some interest, okay, to the streetscape.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ron, do you have any other comments for us on this project?
No, I was able to review this twice. The first time I thought it was very nice, very complete, but I asked for several more items of detail, and they responded quickly and well. And so I don't know if you understood, so the driveway has these little aprons, and so that has to be on their property. But I think it's a nice project.
I do have a question about the selection of material of the door. Is that the actual color you show on the package will be the final selection? Is really like a dark grayish color? But it
Yes.
says it's mahogany. It doesn't look like a mahogany color.
Okay, that might be a typo then. You're very sharp.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
that should be a grayish color, because the owner likes the gray or serious, like the wall is grayish blue color. This is a particular color they want it from the very beginning. Yeah.
okay, I see. So the rendering and the material board showing the right color, right?
Mhm, yes.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Okay, it is now time for public comment. Do we have anyone, members of the public?
There is public comment, Madam Chair. Andrew?
Good evening, Commission. Chair Ramos, when you speak, can you bring the mic closer? Because I'm having a little trouble hearing you. I do have I'm not in favor, no, I am in opposition of this project. But I do have some questions about the front of the project. There is no sidewalk going to be added to this project. I notice, I've been living here, I'm a longtime resident. I bought my home here in 1976. So I've been a resident for 47 years here on this. This is actually my block. Anybody starts trouble on that block, I always let them know it's my block. They need to stop. But I don't see it in this report, but in the staff report that was on the city website, it shows the front of the property is going to have wrought iron, you know, like a stone block wall, wrought iron fence on the very front. And then on front of that, it's showing some type of bushes that are going to be planted there. And then there's no sidewalk. So this, you know, there's no sidewalks on the block for the most part. The house to the south does have a sidewalk. Of course, the houses from the to the north don't until you reach my house. I am the second house from the corner at 105 or 1005. So I was just wondering, it's more of a question, are we going to be requiring new construction like this to have sidewalks installed? Because I noticed in the past, all of the new construction, they are putting sidewalks, even though there's no sidewalks on the adjoining properties. And then I have a concern about the planting of the vegetation in you know, on the outside of the fence, you know, towards the easement, because when that starts growing, people might want to walk there, and there's going to be vegetation growing there. So those are just a couple of concerns that I have, and I just wanted to see if maybe Samantha could answer the question about the sidewalks, whether they're required or not, if that's something in a code or if it's, you know, just something that was overlooked on this project.
Yes, Madam Chair and members of the commission, unless Christine wants to add anything, there is a condition of approval provided by the Public Works Department to address any requirements for the sidewalk as well as plantings within the right-of-way. So during the plan checking portion of the project, those details are typically a requirement from the Public Works Department. If there's any comments or concerns that you may have about that, you're familiar with the staff at the Public Works, with the director, also with the principal engineer. So feel free to reach out to them and ask for any clarifications, because if there is any plans for sidewalk improvements or landscaping in the right-of-way, it would be subject to Public Works review and approval.
Okay, so that would go through Greg, not through Aldo?
Correct. Correct. So planning will regulate what is on private property with behind the property line, and anything in front of it, it would be reviewed by the Public Works Department.
And then I also have a question about the two trees that are on the property, not the city tree. You rate them, you describe them as Class 1 trees. What is that? What is a Class 1 tree?
Right, so within the city's tree preservation ordinance, Class 1 is a very specific list of trees. Typically, they include the standard oaks and sycamores, and so it's a very specific list of trees. If those species are on that list, then immediately they're considered to be preserved on the property. If they are not on the list, then the next category would be landmark trees, depending on the size and the width of the trunks. And then if they are neither of those trees, then there is the potential to remove them. But to your question about does it go before the community development director, an application is required, and at that time, that's when those determinations are made.
Thank you, Samantha.
Just a question, we can also put as a condition for the sidewalks, correct?
Yes, Madam Chair, yes.
So I'd like to thank you for bringing that up. Any additional comments?
No additional comments at this time, Madam Chair.
Okay. So it is now 6:55. The time for public comment on this item is now closed, and it is up to the commissioners to have some deliberation and discussion on this. So I will start with Commissioner Tu.
Yes, I do have a couple comments. I would think that the bedroom 2 has insufficient sunlight with only one window. So I would recommend to actually add additional window because it's also in the lower floor with the fence in place. It's not going to be a privacy concern to the neighbor, which I hope. Another one, actually, I thought the front elevation with the scale of the entry door, it seems a little too big. And with the white window trim, but only the door is like a dark gray color. So I thought that the color scheme is not ideal, but it seems like the homeowner selected the color, so I would recommend to take a look at if there's any chance that to make the window and doors more coherent instead of having, and also the shape of the door is kind of outstanding and nothing, there's no other geometry that working with that shape, the arc door. So yeah, that's my comments. Thank you.
Yes, Ron?
Just a point of comment that the code requires a minimum of 3-foot front door, so if you had 2, that's 6 feet. But you have to have 3 feet.
Commissioner Lopez?
Just an observation, and my fellow commissioner touched upon it. As far as the kind of the shape of the door in contrast to those windows, kind of seems a little off. Perhaps a different design of the windows, or to make it more uniform, as opposed to my impression is it looks hodgepodge kind of thing. I like just the windows picked out of generic windows, and then somebody liked the style of the door. I don't know if anything can be done, but it would certainly go a long way. If, for example, the windows either reflected some kind of symmetry as the door or the door to the windows. And obviously the sidewalk as well. That way there's some sort of continuity in the walking as opposed to just stopping like a dead end. Those are my comments.
Thank you. Commissioner Salo?
Yeah, I think that the proposed design is a major improvement over the existing home with the current 3 archways and the kind of weird porch that they currently have. And I'm looking forward to this property being owner-occupied instead of a rental as it currently is. So I'm ready to move forward with this project.
Before I make any additional comments, I want to see if you have any recommendations. We've heard 2 comments on the doors and the windows and color.
Okay, so as I said, if you want to have double doors, they've got to be 6 feet. To me, the double doors are like the accent versus all the other windows and stuff like that. And then you mentioned about making the windows more symmetrical. The design guidelines expressly don't want you to make them symmetrical, so I would urge against that. And the color, they do call out this gray color to the door. So I'm assuming it's a mahogany door that they're coating with some kind of gray something or other. But I think it's okay. The doors are the accent to everything else, in my opinion.
So initially, I thought the shape of the arc was shaped by the porch. I didn't think about the door being shaped like that. I wasn't sure that if that's the right style for that type of house. So that was my confusion there.
My understanding is the door is arched.
Thank you, Ron. So right now, we have different comments on the doors. So I think, first of all, we have to work on discussing the doors before we try to go with the motion. So Commissioner Chu, with the understanding, how do you feel now?
I still feel like the door is kind of like out of the place in the design. And yeah, I would hope to see some improvement in the door design. So because this is the elevation, this is not a true perspective. Like you can, if you are looking at the door through this archway, you don't really see the entire door. You actually see like a partial of the wall because it's in perspective. This is about 4'6". So now this is actually like a projected elevation. So in reality, you're gonna see a frame there. So I didn't know. Yeah, I just didn't feel like that is the right design for that door.
Commissioner Lopez?
From your description, are you saying that the wall is arched, but the door is square? And it's a double?
This proposing is the wall is arch and the door is also arch.
Yes.
It's the same size, right? But this is not showing the actual perspective. It's showing like a elevation projection. So the whole thing like completely aligned. And in reality, you're gonna see a light gray frame along the door. So it's a different than the image.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I just wanted to make sure that I was looking at it the same way you were.
The image doesn't show the depth, because this porch is projected from the front facade for 4.5 feet. So now it shows in the same plane.
Correct.
So it lost the layer of that front porch. It's not like a true representation of the design.
Correct.
So Commissioner Tu, do you have a specific recommendation on this?
Well, I would recommend to consider to have a different design of the doors, but I also see what Ron's city architect come from is a highlight, right? It's something really different from the rest of the house. But I just personally thought that the door is a little overscale. And because it's double door and it's symmetrical, that's why it has to be 6 feet. And then if you are having a door that with one side light and a door that is 3 feet, then you don't have to have like a 6 feet door for particularly for like a living room that is 14 feet wide. This door is huge.
A single door, and you can still have an arched single door that's not as wide. It would have to be wider than 3 feet. It could be 4 feet wide 5 feet wide, you have that leeway. Would that be, would a single door work for you?
I think it's more appropriate to have the side light and with a single door instead of like a symmetrical arch door. I mean, it looks pretty Gothic. It is detached from the design of the house. That's what I feel.
Any other comments on the doors?
I agree with my fellow commissioner, and I see what our architect is talking about the accent. I think that looking through it, an artistic view or an architectural view, you may see you may see it different or like an enhancement to the property, but to the layman's eye, it does look a little odd. Yeah. So I agree. I believe a single door would look definitely better.
Commissioner Sala?
I don't mind it the way it's proposed. I do agree that the rendering is a little misleading because the door is on plane with the walls and the windows. And here it kind of looks like it's out. So in reality, the door is actually going to be smaller than it appears. And then you're going to see like a shadow line across the top of the door. But I don't have a problem with the way that it's currently proposed. Yeah.
And then, so we have a couple of different things, recommendations on the door. The window color, that was something that you brought up as well, Commissioner, too.
I think architect that saying that the door being like an accent color, I think I'm fine with the white window trim and the frame. So, I mean, if the applicant would love to keep the color of the door, it could be an accent, but I just wasn't quite sure about the shape of the door is abnormal to the scale of the house.
Okay, all right. So, looking at the comments, we have two commissioners who have concerns about the front door. I think we all agree about the need for an additional window in the bedroom. The correction on the color for the front door and the sidewalk to be added as a condition. So I'd like to see if there's a motion.
Yeah, I'd like to motion to approve this project, and we'll make it a condition of approval for the applicant to work with the city architect to resolve the issue with the front door. And then the other items also. Well, that would be subject to public works, like in front of the property line. Yeah. Yeah, well, I don't want to require it. I want to defer to public works.
Any other commissioners feel the same?
I would second, but I would definitely require the sidewalk.
Okay, so why don't we have a motion without the sidewalk, then we'll have a motion with the sidewalk, okay? So, you want to repeat your motion again?
Sure. I motion to approve this planning case on the condition that the applicant works with the city architect to resolve the concerns with the front door and the window at the bedroom.
Roll call, please, we're going to do this in 2 steps.
Sorry, Madam Chair, is there a second?
Oh, yes, thank you. Second?
I second.
Roll call?
Commissioner Two,
Yes.
Chair Romo,
Yes.
Vice Chair Salo,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez.
No.
All right, with 3 ayes, that motion passes.
Thank you. Now, we're going to talk about the sidewalk for this property. Would someone like to make a motion regarding the sidewalk?
I motion for the sidewalk to be a requirement.
Is there a second on that motion? Okay. No second? How does- So, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so we don't have a second on this, so we will revert to whatever Public Works says on that, on this, regarding the sidewalk. And at this time, the motion is passed to go forward with the project, but you will work with our city architect regarding the front door. And then work with Public Works, and the sooner you do that is probably better, so you know the expenditures on the sidewalk improvement. Okay? We are going to take a quick break. I don't have COVID, but I am prone to coughing fits, and I'm going to turn over the rest of this meeting to our Vice Chair, Sayla. So thank you very much.
Are you only representing this case today? I'm sorry? Yeah, this is the only one for me today, yeah. No, it doesn't have to be a, well, mine will be a presentation of the staff report because it is a new application, so it does have to be read into the record. But if you don't have anything really to add, you can just come up and if they have any questions. I just wanted to emphasize the fact that
Yeah, I will mention that.
going through the motion of
Yes.
which, I just coughed because of. Oh, this is the petition.
Yeah.
So it's a community thing, and then, the main purpose was just to make sure that everything is up to code.
So, where in the plan check process were you?
So it's a standard.
Oh, I see. So that,
There's no reason to still be waiting now because it's already. So we're just like, motion again, so hopefully that, passes, then we still have to continue. The building was looking okay, but there was an incident with the department, 2 hours. So as soon as this is ready, then we'll just submit it to, over there on Broadway.
yeah, probably works.
So that's
Okay, all right, just in case they ask.
Yeah, that would be the best to do. Yeah. It looks like, yeah, chairman's not even here.
Oh, she's leaving it. She's handing it over to the vice chair.
No, I actually started with the city, I think just shortly after, just around the time the project was officially approved. Yeah, I think it was approved November of 2021. And I think yeah, that's when I started actually.
Okay, call the meeting back to order. The next item on the agenda is item B, 1060 East Broadway, planning case number SPR 23-038, site plan review. The applicant is DC Design and Consulting, Inc., and the presentation would be made by Associate Planner Marlon Cervantes.
Thank you. Good evening, Vice Chair Salo and members of the Design Review Commission. The public hearing item before you tonight is for a site plan review to allow for the construction of a new two-story single-family home located at 1060 East Broadway, planning case number SPR 23-038. The subject property measures 10,106 square feet and is currently developed with a 1,057 square foot single-story single-family home. The property is located on the south side of Broadway between South Willard Avenue to the west and South Walnut Grove Avenue to the east. The project is zoned R1 for single-family residences and has the single-family homes directly to the north, south, west, and east of the subject property. The project before you tonight is for a new two-story single-family home, a new 768 square foot ADU, and a 500 square foot garage attached to the ADU. The single-family home will measure a total of 2,706 square feet with a 1,655 square foot ground floor and 1,051 square foot second floor. A proposal for a two-story single-family residence was previously approved at this location at the November 21, 2021 DRC hearing. However, the applicant failed to request an extension, and their approval expired a year later in November of 2022 before completing the building and safety plan check and permit issuance process, particularly for a grading permit. The proposed home is consistent with the development standards set forth in the municipal code for the R1 zone, including building height, second-story setbacks, lot coverage, and FAR. The FAR and lot coverage calculations shown here do not include the 768 square foot ADU, as section 153.047D of the San Gabriel Municipal Code states that only areas in excess of 800 square feet shall be counted towards those calculations. The architectural design of the home was reviewed by city staff as well as the city architect for consistency with the design guidelines for single-family residences. The proposed design exhibits features of contemporary Spanish-style home, featuring terracotta clay vents, smooth stucco walls, and wrought iron detailing throughout. Other features found on the home include exposed rafter tails, precast molding around the entry door and windows, and recessed dark brown windows. The project site will also be re-landscaped, including a new front lawn, an uncovered patio area paved with terracotta tiles, a walkway leading to the sidewalk made up of interlocking pavers, and a large planter area that will feature a variety of low water usage shrubs. The side yard along the east side of the property and rear yard of the home will feature a 5-foot wide linear planter along the shared property lines, which will be planted with 15-gallon fruit trees in addition to other 5-gallon shrubs. The rear yard area will feature a lawn, a 3-foot wide concrete walkway, and an array of shrubs, fruit trees, ground cover materials, and a new wood trellis. Section 153.353 of the San Gabriel Municipal Code requires the submittal of a neighborhood analysis of homes within a 300-foot radius around the project site. The analysis shall identify 1- and 2-story homes within the neighborhood. The neighborhood analysis identifies 5 properties with 2-story single-family residences within a 300-foot radius. The proposed project was also reviewed for consistency with the general plan. The general plan land use designation for the subject property is low-density residential. The general plan defines this designation as primarily single-family homes on a single parcel. The proposed project is for the construction of a new 2-story home and is consistent with the general plan designation. The project also meets community design goal 10.3 to create designs that live and breathe with San Gabriel's neighborhoods as they themselves live and breathe. The project was also reviewed for compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act and was determined to be exempt per guidelines section 15303, class 3 for new construction. On April 11, 2024, a notice regarding the project was sent to properties within a 300-foot radius of the project site. A notice was also posted on the project site. Tonight's meeting agenda was posted at City Hall, the Post Office, and the Public Library and was advertised in the April 11, 2024 edition of the San Gabriel Sun. With that, staff recommends that the Design Review Commission adopt a resolution of the Design Review Commission of the City of San Gabriel approving planning case number SPR 23-038 for a new two-story single-family residence at 1060 East Broadway, subject to the recommended conditions of approval. Thank you, and that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you, Marlon. Commissioner Lopez, do you have any questions for staff?
No, thank you.
Commissioner Tu, do you have any questions for staff?
No question for staff, thank you.
Do we have any public comments?
No public comment.
It is now 7:19 p.m. The time for public comment on this item is now closed. Does the applicant want to make any comments and address the commission?
We're only here for questions, if anything. If you have any questions for us, we could answer.
Commissioner Lopez, do you have any questions for the applicant?
I have none, thank you.
Commissioner Tu, do you have questions for the applicant?
Yes, I have a design question. So I think there's the big glass doors at the lower floor at the family room. And is that the final size? It seems like the full wall has been the opening, and then you have put in like switches and outlets at the door frame. And the remaining wall is pretty skinny if you look at your elevation, and the light fixture doesn't fit there. So in the rendering, you have a smaller light fixture, but on the elevation, the light fixture is pretty big, and it doesn't really fit there. So that's why I was wondering, are those opening size, window size are finalized?
佢先門經理咧，佢嘅幾個門口嘅那門嘅年代嘅咧，然後會年一個窄嘅年代嘅，我那中間年嗰個門其實嘅唔係佢貨的，佢而家要那個壓迫嘅要求。I'm sorry, I didn't catch the beginning of your question there. I'm trying to translate for the designer here. He's
Yeah, if you look at your family room on the ground floor, I mean, I don't know, the floor plan actually integrated with the electrical plan, so that you can actually see you have light switches and outlet marked on the door frame, which doesn't exist, it shouldn't be exist like that. So I was wondering what is behind the idea, and so that when you look at that elevation, that door, it looks oversized, and the remaining wall on both sides are really skinny.
I'm sorry to interrupt. What page of the plan are you looking at?
A-2.
Okay.
A2.
佢話依家佢而家會望嘅年代，佢然後會那印仔嘅那個整得出嘅樣嘅呢？個愛門口。
But they have switches on the door frame.
佢點解會要那印仔我個門？
And also the wall sconces are oversized for that wall.
Oh, the switch on the left side of the door.
So you have a wall there. So that
Installed
there's a
in
skinny
the
wall.
In the wall. Yeah, not
Okay.
in the door.
So that is not a window frame. This is not a door frame. It's actually you have a tiny wall by the door.
Yeah, by the door.
And then what are those beyond the wall? Are those doors or windows? Like, are they fixed?
佢話我放艇嚟咧，係咩？
It shows fixed on the plan, but on elevation, it looks like doors.
Yeah, on the frame. On the frame of the door. Install.
佢話
If you look at the south elevation, you see like there's 6 panels, right? Are those doors
我嘅
or fixed windows?
我嘅收，
Fixed doors.
佢度都係嘅收。 佢話你個門佢呢，即係嗌門佢呢喎。
呢個唔係呢兩個係 doors，呢後呢。唔係佢意思話佢個開關做咩裝喺呢度咁意思。
嗯，
嗰度有窗有門框。
可能個係咪個艇嚟嘅？
你話裝落個門框度。
佢可以呢現就係佢可以裝落個門框啊？係咪係份艇嚟嘅佢哋嘅？
係 install the switch installed in the wall on the wall. Yeah.
Right. So there's two tiny walls there. Are those posts?
Yeah.
So that's the structure.
Yeah,
That's the post.
Structure. Yeah.
Okay, so you have the switches and the outlet on the post.
Yeah.
And then there's two doors beyond that, right? So
yeah.
you have total 6 panels there. I just wonder what it is, because on the floor plan it shows it's a fix.
個門佢呢係咪啲門嚟嘅？
6 panel.
係咪啲門嚟嘅？
Yeah.
係呢個嗌門拗開嘅。
So only the middle doors are operable.
都係佢兩個可以拗開嘅。
佢兩個好嘅，
佢兩個
個人
可以
個人
嘅。
呀。
Oh, right. Only the middle, the two are operable. The
Okay.
twos on the side are just for decorative
Just
purposes.
fixed door.
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to remind you that when you look at, I mean, generally speaking, is a nice design. I mean, proportionally, everything, including the detail, I like it. It just like, I want to remind you that door, you only have really thin wall left there, and then structurally it might not be practical. And when you look at your elevation, you have a really big wall scone attached to a really tiny wall, and that it just doesn't make sense.
佢話手呢呢，佢哋嘅窄嘅大呢，你唔夠位去裝你裏有嘅嘢。啊，如果你話佢呢係呢固形嘅艇嚟嘅咧，定係佢哋話擺出嚟嗨嘅咧？佢係手你唔夠位裝你嘅嘢。
哦，你話佢兩隻個人嘅都。
嗰佢哋係咪呢？係咪呢份艇嚟嘅？呢下係咪艇嚟嘅？
佢唔係艇嚟㗎，係門嚟嘅，玻璃嘅。
Because not gonna able to install that scone like that.
佢手你唔夠位去裝你呢 outlet 啊。
哦，公園咪搖啲都裝落櫃身，裝落櫃。
OK。
你個功能裝櫃身，艇身。
Okay. Okay. So there is a suggestion here. If there is a concern about not enough space to apply all those things, we could make or revise the plans to move the outlets to the side beyond all the 4 panels of the doors.
Yeah, I would just like to suggest to revisit the size of your doors, because it doesn't seem like practical for you to do that. I mean, it looks nice on elevation, but it might cause problem
It might not be
during
practical.
construction.
Okay. Yeah, so we could definitely move it to the side of beyond all the 4 panels of those.
And also the scone, if you look at the south, the wall scone on the south elevation, you have selected like a pretty big light fixture, and you install it on a little piece of wall. And did you get that from the south elevation?
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
佢話佢兩個硬咧，係勁裝佢隻硬好矮，อันนี้佢哋嘅地方好窄，夠唔夠位裝我佢嘅嘢？
你話個度細。
So you probably wanted to increase the size of your wall so that you can accommodate that scone there.
Okay, well,
你個度細咪裝咯。
how he's saying that it only appears on the the actual light might appear that way, but the actual installation where the arm that holds the lamp would not, would have enough space to install it properly.
Well, I mean, proportionally, you don't want to have partial of your scone within your doors, right? I mean, right now the whole thing is like way oversized. I mean, on the rendering, you pick a smaller scone. I don't know if that's a real size. In your rendering, your scone appeared to be much smaller, so that it was not a problem. but on the elevation, it has a bigger scone. I just want to remind you, eventually, you may need to adjust the size of your wall to make it work,
to fit it in
either structurally or aesthetically.
即係話佢呢隻硬呢，我哋嘅 render 喺落嘅呢隻船呢，安尼我佢哋喺出嚟嘅真硬我哋好矮，係咪你間個靚真硬嘅用嘅หู你是間矮啊大啊？定係佢轉係佢矮啊？
你話外有啲我是外間靚就大嘅。
Okay, it's a good suggestion. So they might have to downsize the sizes of the lamps on the outside.
Right, on your rendering, you show much smaller fixture.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, I don't have other questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Tu. At this time, I'd like to hear comments from the city architect.
Well, I too, like the last one, I've reviewed this twice. The first time, I thought it was pretty good. The design was pretty good, but there were a number of things missing, so they've gone through and added them. Commissioner Tu's observations I missed. Those are very good observations. But in general, I think the design of the home from the exterior is pretty good.
Thank you. So now I'd like to move on to commission deliberation. I'll start with Commissioner Lopez.
Yeah, Commissioner oh, the public thing.
I was reminded that I first need to close public comments. Thank you for your time, and then move on to commission deliberation.
Thank you.
And are there any other public comments?
No public comment.
Okay, so now I'll close the public comments.
Would the suggestion be that instead of the 6 panels, maybe 4 panels would be more appropriate, or smaller panels?
I think overall, the applicant, the designer needs to work with the structural engineer as well, because, I mean, now he's using like 2 posts there to support it. And, I mean, for the design perspective, you would like that to be bigger, because it's like, it brings a lot of natural light to the family room, but in reality, you might not be able to have that many panels. So I think,
Or these are not the front doors, so they could be 2'6" doors. You do 2'6", 2'6", so you'd pick up a couple of feet of wall to do that.
yeah, that's right. And another way to do it is reduce the amount of the panels so that you have bigger panel, and then you have like maybe 2 big, because it's a fixed, it doesn't like, it's not needs to be operable. So I think that can be determined when the designer continue to refine the design to make it practical. And I think it's desirable to have a bigger opening for the house.
That was my question.
Commissioner Tu, do you have any additional comments to deliberate?
I think the designer did a good job and provide a lot of nice details to the home design. And my concern is just the practicality of these large family room windows, and also the scale of the wall scone would eventually work with the design. So yeah, I think I'm ready to approve the project with the consideration of like, take a look at the scale of the wall scone and make it work with the windows.
Would you recommend like a minimum amount for that scone to be like a 2-foot, 3-foot section of the wall, or something like that?
I think they show a smaller scone in the color rendering, and I don't know the actual scale of it. That scone looks a little more appropriate than the one in the elevation. Because the elevation one, it seems a little like oversized.
Yeah, no, my question would be if you either downsize the panels or you increase the size of the panels, but decrease it from 6 to 4 or something along those lines, clearly to make more room structurally and aesthetically for the scone. And so my question would be, would a minimum 2-foot space be more appropriate, 3-foot?
So that's a question for the designer. What is the size of the fixture they picked? Because there was a fixture that presented in the material board that we cannot read the size. That is the 8-7.
Yeah, if we're going to ask additional questions to the public, I have to reopen public comment. So I'll reopen public comments at this time. Yeah.
A7 you said?
Yeah, 8-7, that's the material board.
Okay, okay, the good for you. Okay. On what figure are you not seeing the size you said?
There's outdoor lighting, selection number 9. And what is the dimension of that scone you pick?
佢話你佢個硬咧，你間佢嘅硬係乜 size 幾長幾闊嘅名整出來，所以如果係嘅話，你可以整晒呢或者冇得講，因為佢哋個名要 size show。
喂，安尼我佢喺度運作咁嘛。
佢亦先係講緊你個 light 個 size 啊，你估啊要改叫 size 嘛？你夾嘛？
So the height is 18 inches up here, but I don't know what the width
What
is.
the width, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Yeah, Marlon just pointed out, so the height right now is 18 inches, and the width, we did not have it on here, but looking at
6
proportion,
inch.
looks like 1/3 of that, so about 6 by 18?
6 by 18.
Yeah. Inches. This paper is 17 inches high.
I think, yeah, if that's the case, I would think that could be appropriate, but you may need to accommodate that with a proper wall size.
We'll make a note of that to make sure that.
Which goes to my question now, the proper wall size would be along the lines of 2 feet, 3 feet, or something aesthetic like that? 18 inches, 2 feet?
Because the width of the,
Did you follow the?
No, I thought you were talking
18 inches to 2 feet approximately?
of the light.
No.
the wall.
The wall, right. We will make sure that we can either smaller, pick a smaller light fixture to make sure that it fits into whatever that we have available now, the wall size available, to make sure it fits into that frame. Is that okay, or? Go ahead.
Remember, on the corner of a building, you have several different wood studs, so there's a lot of structure right in the corner.
Oh,
So it might be difficult to put a wall outlet for the light there.
yeah, that's the structure engineer's job to make sure that works with building and safety when they're
I
submitting.
mean, generally speaking, as a designer, you may want it to leave at least 2 feet at the corner so that you can accommodate light fixture or outlet or whatever. I mean,
Okay.
instead of having a really thin wall at the corner, you have structure too.
I understand. So in the outlook perspective, yes, and just kind of like to give a little reference is the project is already approved too by building structures too, but that also is coming to an expiration date. So the safety concern of it has been looked at by building and safety's engineers as well. So we don't have a problem with that, I suppose. Right now, we're just looking at maybe the look of it then, the outlook, how it fits into the building with the
Yeah.
size of the light versus the walls and whatnot.
Thank you for comments. I think what the point that the commission is trying to make is that when you overlay the structure that's required to build this, aesthetically, it's not going to look like the way it's represented in your drawing. The windows are going to be much smaller, the walls are going to be much wider, and you're just going to be like, what? That doesn't look like what we were expecting it to be. So currently, there's a mismatch between what's structurally required and what's being shown on your drawings, and that's what I think the commission is trying to help you understand now, when it's less expensive to make decisions, as opposed to later on when it will be much more expensive to make these decisions.
OK, cô ý dưới đây ý tố là話你呢廠呢硬呢，整矮啊大喺勁呢，我是整出嚟嘅樣咧唔好喺，而且你呢木唔夠闊的呢，可能外係即係喺你呢硬上去可。
我可以裝得硬，裝大少少的。
我咪度啊，我所以你話你呢木係個闊得個位，係咪你呢木板可以縮細呢？你呢廠可唔可以縮細呢？呢 window 你呢嘢
冇識嚟會縮縮，你就係會識得硬。
，OK，或者你改呢硬。
改硬，冇改結構。
Okay. Yeah, to avoid further expenses or costs to change any structural plans on the plans, so we would rather just maybe downsize the lamps, like the lights, the fixtures and whatnot, to create a more easy looking at design. Would that satisfy your concern? Commissioner Tu?
I mean, 6 inches is not that big for this type of lamp.
If the concern is only about, about the safety, or how are we able to safely install any outlets and, being able to provide the lights, provide the electrical wires to the lights? Is that the concern here?
No, the concern is, I mean, let me ask a question. You said this plan has been approved by Building and Safety?
Yes. But we ran into the problem of expired approval from the planning design. Like Marlon was saying earlier, the whole project has been approved by planning, moved into building, that was approved as well. But by the time we're ready to pull the permit, or the owner, there was missing grading permits. And so a grading permit was underway to submit, but at the same time, we ran into the expired planning commission approval. And that's why we're paying the whole plan check fee one more time for commission review for the same project, same plans, to just go through the motion one more time, that's all.
So the structure is also approved, so that for
Yes.
that corner, you have sufficient structure.
Yes, and that's already been looked at. That's why I said,
Well, if you can install the light that appropriate to the size of the wall, I mean, that should be okay. I mean, similar style product. You already presented one on the material board, and were you able to find smaller lamp that with similar style?
if that's what we need to do, then yes, I think we'll have to.
6 inches, it's not really. Oh, 8 inches. No. So if
Okay, I think we understand the issue and it needs to be resolved, but I think I'm comfortable with the applicant resolving the issue with the city architect after this commission. So with that being said, do I hear a motion can I get a motion?
I motion for approval, contingent on working with the city architect, and
First, I'm going to close the public comments, and then now.
I motion to approve the project contingent on the owners working with our city architect as far as the scone and making it fit. But I would also want to make a referral over to Plan Check and make sure that it's something that they didn't miss, and that is for your protection as well. God forbid something wasn't missed by everyone, and then something happened to you guys.
If I'm gonna live in the house,
so-
yeah, I would rather.
Yeah,
rather
so
that
so
be
I would contingent on the referral also for a recheck of Plan Check, or the plans rechecked by the city to make sure that it is in fact compliant and it was not something that was missed.
Thank you, Commissioner Lopez. Do I get a second?
I second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Chang and Chair Romo are now absent. Commissioner Tu,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Salo,
Yes.
3 ayes, motion passed.
At this time, I'd like to move to item C, 101 East Valley Boulevard, planning case number MSP 24-002, Public Art Program. The applicant is Brian Chan of PNC Technology, Inc., and the presentation will be made by Planning Manager Samantha Tuasert.
Yes, thank you, Vice Chair and members of the commission. The item before you this evening is an amendment to a public art program that was approved in 2016. This is case number MSP 24-002. Just really a quick overview of the project, the site, and then moving on to what's before the commission this evening. As a reminder, the subject property is located on the northeast corner of Valley Boulevard and Del Mar Avenue. The zoning is mixed-use transit-oriented development within the Valley Boulevard specific plan area. So again, a quick overview of the site and the project. The site is a little bit under an acre in size. Oh, I'm sorry, there's a typo. The total square footage of the building is actually approximately 85,000 square feet. You have 13,500 square feet of commercial space on the ground floor, and it includes 80 residential units on the second, third, and fourth floors. And then you have 3 levels of subterranean parking below the building. As mentioned, the project did go before the Planning Commission and the Design Review Commission in 2016. The Planning Commission for the subdivision map of air rights for condominium purposes, and then before the Design Review Commission for the precise plan of design for the building design, and then a master sign program was approved, as well as a public art program, as mentioned. And so this was the plan and the elevation that was approved by the Design Review Commission. And here we are 7 years later. As mentioned in the staff report, the building is nearing completion. Because this was a multi-year project, it did start out with a different city architect, but anytime the project had any exterior revision requests, it was presented to the current city architect for review, just to make sure that consistency carried over till final inspection approval. But the item before the commission this evening, as mentioned, is the public art program. What was approved as part of the original approval in 2016 is the vertical display screens, as shown on the slide, 4x12, approximately 8 of them installed along the interior corridor, as shown on the slide here. This was the concept that was approved at the time. And the current request before this commission is to relocate those displays onto the raised planters. There's approximately 4 of them. The planter walls are cast in place. They're about 3 feet tall, and the screens will be mounted onto those planter walls. The original development team is present this evening, so they can provide a little bit more detail as to how that is going to occur. Construction-wise, those as seen in the photo there, the planters are in place, and this is a matter of whether or not the amended design is approved this evening. Also shown here are some examples of the artwork that will be displayed. It's staff understanding that the gallery is also present this evening for any questions. And so the recommendation before the commission this evening is to adopt a resolution of the Design Review Commission of the City of San Gabriel to approve planning case number MSP 24-002, and this is to amend the public art program for this project. This concludes staff's presentation.
Commissioner Lopez, do you have any questions for staff?
No questions for staff.
Commissioner Tu, do you have questions for staff?
Oh, yes, I have a question. You mentioned the LED is relocated to the planter. What was the original location?
The original location, as shown on the screen, is along the interior corridor. So on the right-hand side of the slide, it shows the site plan and the highlighted areas. That is the pedestrian corridor.
So it's actually on the building, on the wall?
On the walls, yes.
Okay, thank you.
I have no questions for staff. Now I would like to request the applicant to address the commission.
Good evening, commissioners and staffs. My name is Lavender with BNC. And yes, as mentioned by Samantha, the original public art has been approved back in 2016. And because of the change of a location, so I'm here presenting and ready to answer any questions that you might have. Do I have a presentation?
Okay. Do you have any questions for the applicant, Commissioner Lopez?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Commissioner Tu?
Yes, I have a question that, what's the reason to relocate the approved design?
Oh, okay, because throughout the years, there's some change in the floor plan. So I have the original designer here and the owner to give us a brief, the reason for the change of the location. Because originally, the design is on the wall vertically, but then some of the displays are actually located on the tenant's storefronts, so it's not practical to have those. So that's why we need to relocate. And I have the owner, Anita, here.
Yeah, my name is Anita To. I represent the investment group. So part of the reason to change or to amend the design is because we also have planters along the wall, and they are custom concrete planters, and they are quite large, and it will compete with the original vertical panel. It will feel like a little too busy. And now also when we work with the BNC and also the nucleus, the technology has improved so much in the last few years since we started the project. So now these curved screens are available, and we have this very nice custom design planters by a pretty well-known landscape architect. And we decided to incorporate it into the new art project. And I think the team feel like it is improved on the original concept. And with the curved wall, with the new curved screens and material.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I don't have any questions for the applicant. I'd like to hear comments from the city architect.
Well, I did not get a chance to review this until we got the package. But couple of observations is, what is the durability of this? You know, and a lot of planters, they install these little metal things so skateboard kids don't run on the top of the planter. So I wonder what happens when the skateboarders hit this thing. What happens, and it meets the plaza. The plaza deck is usually not flat because it has to slope to drain. So how does the mural work if the floor is not flat? And then what about just maintenance? When the maintenance guy is washing down the floor and it splashes on this wall, is that going to be an issue? Or should it have like a tile baseboard or something to lift the graphic off of the floor?
Yes, we actually have about 3 to 4 inches off the ground from the planter. So as far as in maintenance-wise, we are using IP65 panel. So the LEDs are protected from dust and water.
So the LEDs have a protective film or barrier in front
No,
of them?
nothing from the front, but the panel itself is already protected from dust and water. Yes.
The new technology for these screens already have waterproof.
It's
yeah.
waterproof building, yes, from dust and water.
Is there a cap like that? Looks like a cap on the wall. Is there something at the top of the LED screen?
No, there's nothing on the top. It's not necessary. But on the planter, as you concern, there's no space for the skaters to go on it because it's only 3 inches deep.
The LED is 3 inches?
No, the LED itself is a flat. Oh, we didn't have assembled here with you right now. But if you look at this section, do you have
Do you have this detail?
number page
Samantha?
3? On
Is
page
that
3
the
of
4
the plan.
millimeter or 2.5 millimeters?
No, 3 inches. 3 inches altogether is the frame. We actually have a frame on top of it.
My concern is, I resonate with city architect, because, I mean, it's not a really common place to place LED at the really low level like that. Because you want people to see the content, and at this level, a lot of times, like, you have how are you gonna protect those LEDs? I mean, what if people taking a bicycle and hit it? I mean, it's just a lot of incident can happen when you're placing LED in this level.
I mean, you know, for damages, even if it is vertical screen, it can happen too. So I think I would leave it to the management team to keep maintaining these installations.
Yes, and I mean, the management team definitely the one taking charge of it, but what is the mechanism for you to replace it if there's damage? Are those like modularized, that
Yes.
you can replace them, like partially?
They can be replaced. These are modules by section. So these are going to build in by section, but it cannot be removed easily. But just in case, if it needs to be replaced, there's some kind of special tool that we use to take the panel out and replace with the new modules.
What is the size of the module? You have a diagram showing the like 36 inches.
36 inches the planter mounted on the
We can send you a specification, but these, you know, the plan, the design, is designed with the modules.
Right,
So
yeah, I
we
saw
can give you a
this.
specification.
I saw there's a diagram here that 36 inches wide. That you
Right.
have like 12 panels in it. So that is the size of your module that can be replaced?
Yes. We place one by one, not all 36 by 36 has to be placed. The modules can be replaced by whichever one is damaged.
Right, so I just want to understand the size of your module that can be replaceable at the minimum.
Right.
So, yeah, actually, these is, yeah,
8 inches by 12.
8 by
approximately.
12.
Yes, 8 inches by 12.
So that you have this frame that is 1.5 inches by 1.5 aluminum tube in between those modules.
Right.
Are we going to see that tube?
The tube is going to be painted in black, and you don't see it, but we do need to have it to support the modules. It will be behind the modules.
Okay, so we don't see this tube
No, you don't
on
see the
your
tube.
screen, right?
No, the modules will be continuously. You don't see the tube. The tubes are behind the modules.
So where's those driver located?
The drivers?
The drivers for the LED screen.
Okay. The drivers for the LED screens is going to be behind the panels, and they will be hidden in a planter.
Inside the printer.
Yes.
So is that the showing on your section diagram, that is the box in the middle of the printer?
The box in the planter, the box in the center is the electrical supply. But let's see. If you look at section E, actually it's behind the panel. You see on the diagram section on page number 3 under E.
E,
Yes,
page 3.
page 3.
There's a sectional diagram under
There's
E.
a section.
Okay.
Yes. Number page 3, item E.
Okay, that's the power supply.
Yes, that's a power supply.
So that's within your about 2
It's
inches.
very thin. It's a small power supply. So everything will be hidden behind the panel. It will not be seen.
Okay. So what is the operation hours of those LED screen?
Do we have it?
I haven't determined yet.
Okay, so it,
Probably when the restaurant closed.
okay, thank you.
Is this an expensive technology? Like if,
Yes, it is quite expensive.
okay, so.
Actually, the budget has increased 30% since last approved.
I see. The reason I'm asking is because, Commissioner Tu had made a comment earlier that typically LED displays are kind of placed out of reach so that people don't abuse it. And because we all know that, we've seen places where we have the design intent and then children, delivery people with their hand trucks and shopping carts, stuff happens. And so I think that's the concern is that, we don't have a problem with the art. We're just wondering about the amount of abuse it might take, the cost to maintain it, the cost to replace it, and we just want to be sure that we're mindful of all those things before we proceed. I think that's kind of where the commission is concerned about.
That the maintenance cost will be built into our operating expense. Yeah. Well, this is our first time doing that too, so we won't know until we actually build this. Yeah.
Okay, because I do have personal experience on a project at a hospital where the delivery people, they have those hand truck carts, they load them up with boxes, and they just ram it into the walls. They don't care because they're hauling stuff all day. They're tired and they're usually not in good moods, especially on a hot day. I share the concerns with the commission that these things may be subject to abuse, and we're just trying to make sure that it stays beautiful from day one until 5 years later. It looks as beautiful as you intended.
That's our intent. We take a lot of pride building this project.
Do we have any other comments from the commission?
I do. Part of what my co-chair, commissioner, I think it's part of the concern is that if it becomes cost inhibitive to replace some of those panels, we're looking at if some of those panels are damaged, what time frame are we looking for as far as replacing them? Or if they're so expensive, will they be replaced? So we may end up with something like, some of it lit, some of it not lit.
Yes.
I think we've all seen projects that throughout the California at least, that you walk into a place and then half of it works, half of it doesn't. The other power, it's like bzzz. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that is one of the concerns, especially if you're stating that they're very expensive. So I know you want to build it into the operating cost, but that's a financial feasibility issue more than anything else. In lieu of financials and looking at what are you looking at as far as operating and recapitalizing or replacing the capital investment that you're making, that I think is kind of what we're kind of gearing towards.
Yes, your concern is totally understood, and we have prepared for it. It is costly to make, but when it's made, it's very, very easy to maintain. And we have thought about that, the whole project, the number of pieces and the panels of the modules that we need, we will add up about 10 to 15% on hand just to prepare for the maintenance. So once it needs to be replaced, we can have it replaced within 2 to 3 days.
Let me ask a further question. Let's assume it does get abused from the get-go, and it becomes to the point where let's say you've allocated an additional 15 panels, and you've exhausted those 15 panels, and now you're in a position that you may have to replace 30 or 40 panels. So at which point would you then say, we're not going to do this anymore and we're going to take it out? Are you just going to kind of like leave it until it all dies or replace it with something else? What is a kind of like a backup plan for it?
Well, the backup plan, what I just mentioned, is not the 10 pieces. We're talking about the percentage of the overall pieces that we need. Yes, so we'll be 10 to 15% additional from what we need right now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you know the tenants that occupy the spaces immediately next to the artwork?
We currently has 2 letter of intent, right? Two leases has already signed. One is a very high-end jewelers from Hong Kong, and the other one is a very high-end Chinese restaurant so far. So we have high hope that the tenants will be very quality tenants, and hopefully the pedestrian traffic is also very civilized.
Was there a comment from, somebody raised their hand down there?
The section details on the page 3, there's the number D, that is the 1/2-inch PVC conduit that it would be penetrating your existing LED printer. It seems like according to your section, the other diagram, you will have this penetration every 36 inches and at different height. We're just concerned about the water intrusion for the design of this section. So we'd like to remind the applicant that you might need to take a look at that because there's so many points of entry for water to go through these penetrations.
From the planter to the outside.
Right.
From,
Because you're gonna need to water all the planters, right? So the water penetration might just like, when there's water, then if you have so many penetration on the concrete, and you might have maybe epoxy it, I don't know, I mean, you would treat it, but I mean, there's a lot of, it's high chance of failure if you have so many penetration in the printer that was not designed for this purpose.
for this, we are going to be the installer, and definitely we don't want to come back and to take care of the LED lighting. We want it lit, and for this, we've been in business for more than 35, 36, 38 years already. And we will be working very closely with building department, and it will be totally seal tight and make it work, yes. We will minimize as minimum as whole, the minimum of the holes as we need it. So we are not going to drill a lot of holes. We'll figure out how many pipes that will need to go in. And normally for the whole panel, it will be just one hole only. And then everything will be connected from outside of the planter.
Right, I would just want to remind the designer of this that, yeah, just minimize
Yes,
the
of course.
point of entry for
Yes,
water.
definitely. Definitely, appreciate it.
I think part of what my fellow commissioner is concerned, two things about I don't see a height that the conduit is at from the planter. You measure from the bottom of the planter to the top to 36 inches. And the panels are gonna extend beyond the planter 8 inches, correct?
Yes.
Okay. But in the conduit, it doesn't say what height it's gonna be from ground to towards the planter. Clearly, part of the water intrusion concern is the amount of holes that you put there. It may weaken the structure to a certain extent.
It will be one hole per side of each planter.
So in that whole structure there, what we're looking at is just be one single hole.
One simple hole on each side. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Does that kind of, Commissioner?
Yeah, so if it's one, then, it's less concern than so many, just trying to minimize those water penetration.
So your statement is that in that one planter, there's only gonna be 2 holes protruding?
Yes.
PVC conduit?
One on each side.
One on each side, and then the actual screen is going to be half an inch from the wall of the planter?
No, overall from the planter, you're talking about the projection from the planter? It will be 3 inches altogether total.
3 inches
3
altogether
inches,
total?
yes, because we will need to install a 1.5 inch frame first to support the LED. So it will be 3 inches overall.
3 inches, and within that, then you have the power supplies.
Yes.
So from the section, you have this, the detail G that it calls out for 0.09 inches aluminum back cover for the LED, for the portion that is projected up from the printer. So it's just like a really, really thin aluminum.
It will be just a cover, yes, a very thin aluminum just to cover the back. Let's say the portion that is extended out, it will be the aluminum frame only, and we don't want anybody to see the skeleton, the frame. So it will be the top portion that is projected out 8 inches. That portion will be covered by the 090 aluminum.
Okay. So the aluminum cover actually covered the entire back of the LED panel, right?
No, only the top portion that is
Only the top
projected
portion.
out, yes.
And then do you have sealant from the aluminum to the?
Definitely.
Are there any additional comments?
Is that what you're referring to where it says concrete paving on structure? Right below that is this waterproofing membrane, or is that the bottom? Is that the floor, part of the floor?
That's a part of the landscaping. It's already built there. It's already built in.
Okay, so that would be like the 3 inches gap between the panels and the floor.
No, it's not. That's additional. Where you see the concrete structure base, it's already there. It's not a part of the design. It's already existing. So what we have here, if you look at the left side of the structure, where you have 41 inches on the bottom there, so it will be 3 inches off from the bottom of the planter.
Oh, I see, okay. I see.
Are there any additional comments?
Is this section being structurally, it's been designed structurally? And considering the weight of the LED panel, and also, is that from the support of the GFRC printer? Because I thought it was a concrete cast in place, but this is a GFRC printer. I just wonder if this had been structurally designed.
So your concern is this LED panel will be too heavy, that the frame will not support?
Yeah, that was the idea, yeah. Has the structural engineer been considered that? Because it says it's a GFRC printer. It's not a cast-in-place concrete printer.
It is a cast-in-place concrete planter.
Oh, it says glass fiber reinforced concrete GFRC.
I think there's a miscommunication, they have. It is a cast-in-place concrete planter.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
I think it's a very bold design, so I appreciate your courage to propose something like this. I like it. I see that it does break a lot of rules, being within hand's reach, being exposed to the elements, irrigation water, maintenance, cleaning crew. So you guys have really pushed it as far as artwork goes, where you wanted to locate this. So it seems like you have a lot of confidence and the resources to follow through with this. So with that being said, I am comfortable with a motion to approve this project so we can move forward. But I think the conversation we've had tonight has put all the thoughts in your head for what to prepare for in the event that, things don't go as planned, and maybe you can prepare your resources adequately.
But that's what public art is kind of, right? It's like you don't know what kind of abuse you're going to get until you install it. And I mean, you know, the existing design of this curved planter wall is just the perfect canvas to experiment with this kind of concept. You know, the moving images it can create motion, and as people walk along, stroll along, and you know, it can project different lights at different times. So, yeah, I think this is, you know, I think our team.
Yeah, I can definitely see
Yeah, like,
children
try to
running
do
up to trying to touch the LED panel, being able to interact with art that's usually kept out of hand's reach. So I can definitely see that. But you know, I think we've had a very thorough discussion here tonight. So I'd like to see if we have a motion to approve the project going forward. Okay, I'll make the motion. Okay. I want to move on to ask if we have any comments from the public regarding this project.
I don't think so.
No public comment at this time, sir.
Okay, so the time for public comment is now closed. And can we make the motion? Yeah, so I'll make a motion to approve this project as is. Do I hear a second?
A second?
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Chang and Chair Romo are absent. Commissioner Tu?
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez?
Yes.
Vice Chair Salo?
Yes.
3 Ayes, motion passed.
Thank you for your proposal.
Thank you.
Thank you. You have a good evening.
Two.
Bye-bye.
So comments from the planning manager?
Yes, thank you, Vice Chair. Just a reminder on 3 upcoming events. That would be this Saturday, the 27th, first farmers market for the city of San Gabriel. And this is between 8:30 and 1:30. This is at the Park and Ride at the intersection at Broadway and Mission Road. So that will be the first for the city. Then following on Sunday, the 28th, is Active SGV, or 626 Golden Street. That is the closing of the street, Mission to Mission, from San Gabriel Mission to South Pasadena Mission. So be aware of all the street closure. And I believe this is, I forget how many hours the event is. Possibly the streets won't reopen until 2 or 3 p.m., so be mindful of that. And then also Cinco de Mayo for San Gabriel will be on May 3rd, actually, and the event will be from 5:30 to 9:30, and this is in front of the Playhouse, and that's it for staff.
Okay, thank you, Samantha. Commissioner comments and conference meeting reports. Each commissioner may address the commission and public on matters of general information and concern. This is also the time for commissioners to report on conferences and meetings they have attended. Do any commissioners have anything to share?
No, I don't. But I do have a question about the public arts program. I mean, we approved the project, but if city has any program that follows through and to make sure that the art piece will be installed or like performing the intent of the design, because I mean we were really concerned about the LED, because it's actually just like, as you said, the kids is gonna love it and then they're gonna come and touch it. And
Yeah, they broke every rule, but it seems like, but I do admire their courage for proposing it. I don't know if they're naive or if we're naive. Somebody is.
So as a general rule, following the installation of the artwork, the city does ask for verification from the artists for the arts that have been installed and constructed. There is a follow-up with the artists. In fact, some of the artists have shared with city staff in cases where they make presentations to either at schools or to other organizations. They like to refer to their projects in San Gabriel as examples. So there is that follow-up with the artists. In this particular case, if at any point in time this art piece is no longer functioning as an art piece, then this project is no longer meeting its public art requirement. And at that point, the project would have to come back, and the property owner will have to refigure out how to provide that public art component. But it is a requirement for the life of the project. And at any point, Commissioner Lopez did ask about the timing of the maintenance. It is immediate, and it is subject to any other property maintenance, nuisance correction. So it will start with code enforcement if it's not maintained, replaced, and brought back to a certain standard. However, if for some reason it's just no longer functioning, then it will come back to the commission, and the project will have to come back with a different design, whether it be going back on the building walls.
Great.
Thank you. Yeah.
When you're out shopping for some high-end jewelry, you have an excuse to stop by to check on the art. Very high-end is what I understand.
I have nothing to report.
Thank you. Ron, do you have anything to share?
Sorry, I have nothing.
So the meeting is now adjourned to the next regular meeting that's actually going to be in June, on the 24th of June. So we're skipping May.
Yes, May is Memorial Day, so.
Have a great evening.